Get started with Bruce Levine.
Hi, Austin. Welcome to Chicago. Be nice to get to know you.
Hey, Bruce.
Um, yeah, how are you?
I'm
Um,
doing good.
so I guess the first question will be a little outside of the box, but it relates to you and the game itself. Were you surprised that it took this long to find a team with the abilities you have and the reputation you have both on and off the field? Was there any frustration in waiting this long to get the deal you wanted?
No, it seems like free agency is getting slower and slower every year. And just watching how it was going this year, especially some of the really big names in the game, it seemed like this probably was going to happen. So uh, there's just so many unknowns with free agency. I try not to put a date in my head of when I want to have everything done by. But obviously, my wife was starting to get pretty anxious with trying to find living and figure out where we're going. We got two kids, so traveling with the family, we were definitely starting to want to find a home for sure. But no, nothing really too surprising or anything. You know, free agency's different every year, and it definitely seemed like it was moving slow this year, so it was
And,
kind of expected.
and a follow up to that is the game seems to be pushing good middle-aged baseball players out. Middle-aged meaning 29, 30, 31 out, and that they're going more with young players because of the robust amounts they have to pay for the big stars. Has that been impactful, and has that resonated with you? That you know good players like yourself sometimes have a harder time finding a place to go.
Yeah, there comes a point in everybody's career where there's teams looking at what your abilities are and what you're capable of doing on the field, and you've hit arbitration or you've hit free agency, and you're going to start making more money now, and teams just look at your ability, and maybe they look at some young guys, and they'd rather just take their chances with the young guys. It's definitely helped me in my career that I've been a very consistent player. Most of my seasons I've put up pretty similar numbers, so you kind of know what you're going to get with a guy like me. I think that is what helps me the most when now that I'm reaching those points in my career. This is my second straight year in free agency. So just being a guy who works hard, has a good reputation in the clubhouse, and is a pretty consistent player. Seems like teams definitely value that still. I know some older guys are getting pushed out of the game, but um, I still think there's a lot of love from the teams in Major League Baseball for guys who they show up and they play hard every day and they're very consistent and they've been consistent in their careers. I think they're still getting rewarded for that.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jay.
Hey, Austin. First of all, what attracted you to this situation in Chicago, this opportunity?
Yeah, the word opportunity. I I'm 30 years old, coming off a strong season last year. Unfortunately, I had the kidney infection the year before, and I wasn't able to play as much as I would have wanted to. Last year, I was able to get my health back and reestablish myself after really feeling like I had a lost year. So going back into free agency, I really wanted to go somewhere where I would have an opportunity to do that, play every day, get back to being able to play both sides of the ball, play defense every day as well. And there's a tremendous opportunity with Chicago to be able to do that. I got a lot to give, and I'm going to be able to give that here with this team. And it's a young, exciting team. Um, I've talked to some guys that I played with in the past that have been part of Chicago, and they said they got a really good thing going over here. They really liked the staff. They really liked the gel of the clubhouse and the guys. So um, being able to have an opportunity and then hearing nothing but good things about the clubhouse and the culture that they have here, and they played really well in the second half last year. So I think they're starting to turn a corner, and uh, the opportunity to play a lot and to go somewhere where things are looking up, and I think it's going to be a young, fun team.
You talked about this it is going to be a really young team, and I think Chris was on here talking about your reputation in the clubhouse and your ability to kind of help young players learn about, playing Major League Baseball every day was one of the reasons why they were attracted to you. Like, how have you worked with those situations in the past, and how much pride do you take on passing along the knowledge you've learned in the game in your years in baseball?
Yeah, I had a lot of guys that have helped me tremendously throughout the course of my career, and it's come in stages. When I was a rookie, and then when I was a couple years into my career, feeling like, okay, I've started to establish myself a little bit, but there's another step that you got to take. There's levels to this game, and then being traded, reaching free agency. I've had to lean on a lot of older guys who have gone through it all and done it all, dealing with injuries, raising a family in the game. There's a lot of parts to the game that you really know nothing about until you go through it. So yeah, I've leaned on older guys a lot in my career, and I've experienced a lot of those things myself now. So I bring that to the table, just a lot of the stuff, the ins and outs and the daily things that guys maybe just they haven't experienced yet and they have questions about. And then as far as like leadership and what I bring to the table inside the clubhouse and on the field, I mean, I try to show up and work as hard as I possibly can every day, never take a day for granted. I know how hard it is to play in the big leagues and to stay in the big leagues. So just trying to lead by example and go about my business the right way, be a pro in every part of the game. That's really how I try to approach my daily life in the leagues. And I seem to have a good reputation for that. I know that was a big draw for Cincinnati wanting to sign me last year. They kind of had a younger clubhouse, and they'd been close to making the playoffs but hadn't quite made that push yet. So we talked a lot about that last offseason before I signed with them, and I had a tremendous experience with them this past year and with Tito. So a lot of those talks that I had with Cincy last offseason were similar as to what I was uh, talking with Chris about, and where this team is at and what they're looking for out of me. So I kind of got to experience that last year with Cincy, and had a great experience with it. So I look forward to being able to do that with this team too.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Lamont.
Hey, Austin, just how much does that connection with Ryan Fuller kind of add to the comfort level coming on in?
Yeah, I love Fuller. I had a great relationship with him in Baltimore. He helped me out a lot in my career. We made a couple swing adjustments that I really felt like helped me make the All-Star team in 2023. So I've been through the trenches with him. He's helped me through a lot of things, and it was nice to see a familiar face when I jumped on the Zoom call with everybody from the White Sox, and Fuller was on there. He had his PowerPoints and everything going. So yeah, it'll be good to see him in spring training. I got a great relationship with Fuller.
Hey, you mentioned a little bit, but just what did you learn about yourself going through last year, coming on back from the injury and being able to produce as well?
Yeah, I had to dig deep going through what I did with the kidney infection. That was a really tough year in 2024. So last year was it was a very rewarding season for me. To have the conversations that I did with Cincy and the moves that they were making last year. They were bringing in Lux, they were bringing in Trevino, they were bringing in myself, guys that had been in the league, guys that had been in the playoffs before. Really feeling like we could just help with the culture there a little bit, and just add to the skills that the team already had, but just add a little bit more experience. And then we were able to do it. We made the playoffs and we won a lot of games, and it was a really fun season. And then personally, I dealt with some stuff in the beginning of the year as little lasting effects of the kidney infection, but once I really got going, it was a great year. I felt really good. So this year, I feel like I'm way ahead of where I was starting out last year. Being able to finish the year healthy and really just feel like myself mentally and physically, being all the way back now. So I'm really excited for this year. Really excited.
Coach?
Austin, how we doing?
Hey, what's going on?
A question for you. What conversation have you had with the team as far as your expectation and your role as far as what position you would play on it?
Yeah, we really just said outfield. We haven't specifically talked about left or right. We'll see when we get into spring training and what the team needs me to do. I've always said I'll play wherever I can so that my name's on the lineup card. So I'll be ready for anything. I'm comfortable in all three positions in the outfield. So whatever they need me to do, wherever they need me, that's where I'll be. But yeah, just wherever they need me.
Well, for the Chicago fans, I mean, can we anticipate 162 games out of your 140, 130? How many games do you feel health-wise you would be able to contribute?
Yeah, 162 would be amazing. I would love that. That 140 is a big mark for me. Playing over 140 games, that's a good goal to hit for this year.
James?
You just to kind of follow up on what you mentioned about Fuller, just what about your game do you feel like kind of took a next step, in 23 with him, and have you guys kind of talked about things you want to work on or even enhance from there since you've joined?
Yeah, it was more of the lower half, but a little bit to do with the upper half. I was really just trying to get to a strong position and hold it for as long as possible until you start swinging and just not allowing yourself to carry your hands with you and let your lower half open early, which that's what I had a lot of problems with. And when I'm hitting a lot of ground balls pull side, that's usually it. So we were able to develop a really good routine and some good drills and things for me to do throughout the course of the season to just try to maintain that and battle against bad habits that creep up sometimes during the year. So that year we had a good solid plan. I did a lot of work in the off season going into that year to come into spring training with a good strong base and being mechanically sound. And, we were able to put it all together. So I still do a lot of the same stuff now. Had a pretty good year last year. It was pretty consistent. I had a 3-week stretch where mechanically things started to break down a little bit, but I was able to make the adjustments that I needed. So we had already talked about that a little bit of, when things were going well, when I wasn't swinging it as well, and how can we combat that, and what will we need to do this year to stay strong and move well throughout the whole course of the year so that I can have a great season for the White Sox.
You mentioned feeling kind of like the stuff you went through early last year, being a little bit of hangover from the kidney infection. How did you kind of get to the point where you are now, where you're feeling like 140 games is a realistic goal and your routine feels pretty good about sustaining that?
I think part of it was just time. It was what I went through was systemic, so it's not like, okay, you do 4 weeks of rehab on this muscle and then you're back to full go. It had affected a lot of different areas of my body, and being able to do the blood test that I did and see like where my body had been kind of malnourished and it wasn't working right, and why I was continuing to be so sore, why I was experiencing so much fatigue. I was able to supplement with all the right things. So I think being able to replenish my body of all the things that it was low in, that played a big part in it. And it just takes time to be able to do that, to recover from something that wiped me out as much as it did. And then the other part was having a full healthy off season. Last year going into the year, I got to the end of the season and I was so sick at the end of the year. I couldn't start lifting and training and having a full healthy off season. I had to take time to just rest. So the off season was essentially very short. So I felt like I was behind going into spring training last year, and I was still able to come out playing really well in spring training. So this year, my confidence is so much higher because I've been able to train the whole off season and get my strength back and really just be where I want to be going into spring training, you know?
Cool. Glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, thank you.
Bruce?
Austin, can you talk about your year with, you touched on Tito and what you learned even as a veteran player playing under him? What were some of the things you took away from that?
Wow. Tito he's the best. His communication skills are unmatched. He's so good with communicating with his players. I had a really good relationship with him. You know, he's got an open door policy. If you're dealing with anything physically, mentally, like if you need anything, just come to me. So we had a lot of talks during spring training about where I was at physically and what I had gone through the year before, and just how we were going to have to be really honest with each other to try to get me back to where I was before I had gotten sick. So we had a great relationship last year, and I learned the value of that, you know, being open and honest with your manager and going and talking to them about where you're at and what's going on. And I felt like he was able to get the most out of me last year. And that's probably what I learned the most from him, was just the importance of having good communication with your manager.
Do we have anything else for Austin? Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time, and welcome to the White Sox.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'll see you in about a week in Arizona.
Game Changer. Rube Foster and the Birth of Black Baseball. Not just another book, but the book of books for a 21st century generation. Can I tell the story? Purchase your copy today at www.feoa.info, www.feoa.info, and be sure to purchase your copy of the book. You won't regret it. Click the link to share, subscribe, follow, or like us on social media. Thank you in advance for your support. That's www.feoa.info. Game Changer. Rube Foster and the Birth of Black Baseball.